What's going on, guys? It's Coach Ian here from Legacy Endurance, helping you run further, faster, and more focused. And this week I want to talk to you about tempo running, training your threshold, becoming an animal. Stick around. Alright guys, so I'm literally sitting in my kitchen. I'm about to get geared up. My run is just coming up here. I've got a tempo run in the schedule today. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the purpose of training threshold, how you can do it, and what sort of workouts are the most popular, most common for us to develop our threshold. So you've heard of a tempo run, I'm sure. So I like to think of it more of as developing your threshold. I know I shared in a video before sort of the understanding between training in your anaerobic zone and your aerobic zone. There's a point where you flip from aerobic to anaerobic called your anaerobic threshold, and that's something we can improve and develop. So what we want to be doing, and the purpose of a threshold type run is it helps to improve your body's ability to clear blood lactic at higher paces, higher intensities. So you can work at harder efforts for longer without having that lactic acid pooling up and ultimately stopping you in a workout. And that's generally what kills you in a race or a longer distance run or a harder effort, is that lactic acid pooling up. So a threshold run's purpose is to help your body get better at that. So think about it as sort of being able to run for longer periods of time at higher intensities, and we train that. So there's a bit of misconceptions on how you do that, and there's probably a couple classic workouts that I can explain to you. I'll just show you a visual here so you can get understanding. So there's two different types of workouts, but before I show those to you, I want you to understand the effort that you should be feeling when you're doing a threshold type workout, because a lot of people run them too fast. These are not intervals. These are not like hard speed workouts where you should be just really putting a hard effort in there. These should be comfortably hard. So what I mean by comfortably hard is you should be able to feel like if you're running at an intensity that's comfortably hard, you could probably hold that. Ask yourself, could I hold this intensity for up to an hour? If the answer is no, you're probably not training in the right zone to get a threshold development. You're probably training too fast. So think about that whenever you're doing either of these workouts. Comfortably hard meaning, could you hold that for up to an hour? Now, you're not going to necessarily train at that level for an hour, but that's how you should feel. So trap number one is running them too fast, so don't fall into that trap. So the two different types of workouts we can use, or and there's lots of different ways you can sort of modify, tweak, and really get really creative, but I'll show you sort of at the core two really fundamental training sessions you can do. Number one is the classic tempo run, where we get up to that threshold pace, that threshold intensity, and we spend time there. For most people, you don't need to be spending more than, say, 20 minutes of sort of steady state at that tempo intensity to get the required benefit. Some more elite athletes might spend longer because of the time, but for most of us, we're going to probably spend around 20 minutes or so. We could spend 15, 20 maximum sort of time at your threshold. So that might be a real simple run where you get out there, you start at an easy pace, you get to that threshold, and you just hang out there for 20 minutes, and then you cool down, and that's your workout. So you're spending 20 minutes at that tempo pace at a steady state, and again, sort of telling yourself, does this feel like it's an intensity that I can hold for an hour? If no, you're going too fast. So that helps to really improve your body's ability to clear out that lactic acid. So that will be what I would consider a tempo run, a very classic tempo run. The second thing you could be looking at, or second workout, for example, that you could use to really start working on developing your threshold is cruise intervals. So cruise intervals are very similar. The only difference is you get a break in between. So you can actually spend more time training at that intensity because of the break. So for example, a very typical one might be mile repeats. So you'd get up and you'd run a mile at your threshold pace, and then you'd take a break, and then you'd get back up and you'd run a mile at your threshold pace, and so on. And so you're spending all of this time throughout your workout at your threshold pace because you get a break. So for example, if you ran 1 mile, you might take a 1-2 minute break, and then you run another mile, 1-2 minute break. And so we're spending a time, but allowing that break in there. That's just because you have a break doesn't mean you should run these harder. You should keep it at that same intensity. It just allows us to spend more time in a given workout at that intensity. So that's another great example of how you could use a workout to really sort of develop and build out your threshold. So those are the two I would suggest. So these should be about 15% of your mileage. These shouldn't be like a huge chunk of your mileage each and every week. This should be part of a well-balanced program. You should have your easy, long run, really aerobic-based stuff. You should have some speed workouts. And then a threshold type workout could be in the plan every 7 to 10 days is a great way to start. So again, think about that. The key to any run workout is to get the maximum benefit with the least amount of stress. So by running too fast on these, you don't get the benefit. If you're keeping in the right zones on all your other workouts, if you're really staying at an aerobic pace in your easy runs, you're going to be able to cash in on these runs if you do them right. So that's the big key here, guys. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave a comment below. Happy to help. Happy running. Take care, guys. We'll talk to you next week. See you later.